Fellas,
Yes.
we got some brand new polling about the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case, and it is very bad for the White House. We'll dig into that in a second. But first, let's listen to the latest spin from President Trump as he desperately tries to make the Epstein scandal go away.
I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody.
He's such a poet.
Yeah,
He's
in terms of life.
He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
In terms of life. I just want to flag for viewers that in that clip, Trump is standing next to his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick.
Howard Nutlick?
No, Howard Lutnick.
Did I miss Nutlick? I saw you drop that on text this morning, and
Nutlick
I took vacation for a week.
It's sort of been like an undercurrent, but a lot of people these days are using Nutlick.
Salty language. Lutnick is Jeffrey Epstein's longtime neighbor in Manhattan, and Lutnick acquired his home from a mysterious trust connected to or controlled by Jeffrey Epstein. So great optics there, huh?
You don't say.
You don't say. Okay, so only bad people want to talk about this. Luckily, I got two baddies with me today. I think that's what the kids mean when they say that.
That's not what it means.
Okay, so there's a new Economist there's a new Economist YouGov poll that found 79% of U.S. adults think the government should release all the documents that it has about Jeffrey Epstein's case. 67% think the government is covering up evidence it has about Epstein. There's also some recent CNN polling we can get into. Dan, you and John are our resident polling junkies, gurus, whatever your word is. What's your takeaway from this YouGov poll?
I don't know whether this is sad or funny, but that in this time of immense polarization, the one issue that unites Republicans and Democrats and independents is outrage at the cover-up of the Jeffrey Epstein case. Right? I mean, just the YouGov number is amazing, right? 85% of Democrats, 76% of independents, 75% of Republicans. In every poll, there's just this massive number of Republicans. There's a Data for Progress poll, which shows that 55% of Republicans who have heard a lot about the Epstein file disapprove of how Trump has handled them. Like, wow. It's just, we've never seen this in We've seen Trump have bad numbers, but those numbers are usually driven by 90% of Democrats not liking what he's doing, and a majority of independents. That's what drives the polling on the quote-unquote big, beautiful bill. But to see Trump voters, self-identified Trump voters, not like what he's doing, disapprove what he's doing, to be concerned that the government is covering something up, this is a watershed moment in Trump's public support.
John, CNN found that only 3% of Americans are satisfied with the amount of information that's been released about Epstein. 40% of Republicans are dissatisfied about the amount of information that's been released about Epstein. Can you think of any other time 40% of Republicans have been mad at a Trump policy? And is there a risk here for hacks like us who want this scandal to permanently hurt Trump? His political standing, that these Republicans are likely to be the easiest voters to get back?
They might be. I mean, I've been thinking about this, up until a few weeks ago when this whole thing started or got kicked up again because of the Justice Department. I think that maybe we, or Democrats in general, sort of dismissed the people who were concerned about the Epstein files as conspiracy theorists, right? And there are certainly some people who are conspiracy theorists who have taken, what's on the Epstein files to there's a cabal of Democratic pedophiles running the world.
Two of them are at this table.
Right, exactly, like present company.
We're red pill.
Very much included. But if you just take Trump's name off of it, there is a majority of the country who doesn't like when the government covers something up, who always wants more transparency from the government, and especially people don't like being lied to or being lied to in such a way that it's just insulting to their intelligence.
Yeah.
That's what pisses people off really, really badly.
Yeah, we'll get to that insulting.
And so it's not terribly surprising. I was more surprised in the polling about how this has broken through to so many people, because, as we've talked about a million times, very hard for any messages to break through today.
Yeah.
And there's still a good chunk of people in the CNN poll who haven't made up their minds about it, haven't heard enough about it, whatever. But it's broken through to a lot of people, and I think part of that is sort of the bipartisan nature of the way people are talking about it.
Yeah, it brings together like several threads of things that drive attention on the internet.
Yeah.
One is intra-party criticism, right? If a Republican criticizes a Republican or Democrat criticizes a Democrat, that always gets more attention than the dog bites man version of that.
Right.
Is one. Two is conspiracy theories really are the currency of the internet. It's like a massive part of YouTube. If you go down the rabbit holes, particularly before they did some tweaks to the algorithm, you're going to end up in conspiracy theory land. The amount of like AI-generated conspiracy theory content on TikTok is astounding. I've had a somewhat running joke / warm take that Democrats should get into conspiracy theories. And this is like the perfect opportunity to do it.
Never too late to start, guys.
That's
Never
right. Sometimes I was all the time thinking of conspiracy theories that we could come up with. And here was one right in front of us this whole time.
The water's warm.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you love your job, you never work a day in your life. You know what I mean? I also noted in that CNN poll, Trump's strongly approved number is lower than at any other point in either his first term or his second term. Is at 21%. That number has gotten as high as 35% over the years. Net approval is 42%. But what this is saying is the people who usually love him the most are some of the angriest. So
that's also a number, by the way, that Republicans who are up in the midterms are probably looking very carefully at, because when you have strong Trump approvers moving to somewhat strong approvers or somewhat approvers,
flaccid approvers,
flaccid approvers, that's how you get people not showing up in the midterms.
Strong approval correlates with turnout.
Sorry. It's okay. So Trump is trying to scold the media for asking about Epstein, but the questions aren't going away. Here was another kind of crack at a spin or a new narrative that he tried from Tuesday.
Specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden information. We went through years of that.
Saying you got a very quick briefing on an issue that a lot of people find incredibly important is a maybe not the smartest response.
Also, who was president when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested, went to jail, and then maybe killed himself?
I don't recall. Mr.
Wasn't
Trump
Barack Obama? Wasn't Joe Biden? Was Donald Trump?
So Axios reported that there was a previous press inquiry about whether DOJ had informed Trump that he was in the Epstein files. According to Axios, they talked to someone in the White House who said that put the whole White House, quote, in a tizzy, which is interesting, and fueled distrust between the White House and DOJ and the FBI. So, John, you and I recorded on Monday for Tuesday's Pod Save America. You were saying that you think Trump is worried that he might be in the Epstein files. Isn't it more likely that he knows damn well whether he isn't or he isn't because Pam Bondi works for him?
Yeah, I mean, this has been my theory all along, which is that it's not like maybe, but I would bet against there being an Epstein client list and Donald Trump is on the client list. Like, I don't think that's the case. I do think in the pages and pages and pages of documents that haven't been released, a guy who has been Jeffrey Epstein's really good friend, been on his plane 20 times, partied with him, had him at Mar-a-Lago, might be in the files. Yeah, I think that's a good bet.
Yeah, it's a good bet. Elon Musk, remember when he had his first big meltdown with Trump, sort of break with Trump? He tweeted that Trump is in the Epstein files and that's why they haven't been released. At the time, I kind of wrote that off as Elon shit posting. But Dan, knowing what we know now, should we take Elon literally, not figuratively, as Selena Zito might say?
What a Selena Zito reference here.
Just slide that in.
Trump gave her a shout out yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Is your contention that Doge got access to the Epstein files?
Ooh,
and that's how.
Well, now Dan.
This went from
now Dan's taking his
Blondie to Big Balls to Elon. Possibly also does Stephen Miller's wife know? We don't know. Anything's possible.
Wow.
Dan just broke this thing wide open.
We don't know. But obviously, it's also in that answer, Trump doesn't answer the question.
No, not at all.
And he also very critically says, in terms of credible things, implying that there may be things in there about him that are he would contend are not credible.
Incredible.
By the way, Mike Davis, that
crazy lawyer,
crazy lawyer who has been Project 2025 advising the White House from the outside. He had this long thread that didn't get as much attention over the weekend or Friday, I don't know when it was, about how here's the problem. There's a lot of hearsay, and it's not just hearsay from one person. It's like double hearsay, triple hearsay, just like the Kavanaugh confirmation, which means that like he knows what's going on in the White House. He's well sourced up. So I do think that they probably think there's hearsay that they don't believe is credible, but that may implicate Donald Trump, maybe not in a crime, but maybe, or just some really bad behavior.
Yeah, the Axios talked to another administration source who said, we think this is going to burn out, but not yet. Correct. Also, they said pissed off Trump is no fun for anyone. So it sounds like life in the building is terrible. I think what I kind of find shocking about this is I think Trump's a bad president, obviously. I don't think he's like a person of character. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he like had done something creepy with Jeffrey Epstein. But I will acknowledge that he is one of the most successful presidential communicators maybe ever. And I would include Obama in that, just because no one dominates the day-to-day news cycle like he has for the last, decade? But saying he got just a very quick briefing on something that his base really cares about, clinging to this fucking ludicrous notion that Comey and Obama and Joe Biden drafted the Epstein Files together, presumably on Epstein Island at some point, right? Like, it's going to get laughed out of the room by all but his dumbest, most credulous supporters. And like, I don't know, like, Donnie, you could do better, buddy.
There is an element of second-term senioritis here where
That's true.
Presidents they win re-election, they get full of themselves, they overreach, they lose touch with the reason why they won. And that's manifesting itself in two ways here. One, you guys talked about this on the podcast on Tuesday, but the entire premise of Trump is that for his supporters, we believe it's bullshit, but for his supporters is that he is this wrecking ball outsider who's going to go inside and take on this corrupt political system that is for the inside. He's an outsider, it's for the insiders. Mm-hmm. And here and a core part of that, like a data point for that worldview, is that Jeffrey Epstein had all these powerful friends. And no one's ever paid any sort of price for being involved. He ran a sex trafficking ring, but no one has been convicted for participating in that ring other than Epstein and Maxwell. And now Trump is the insider protecting the powerful people by keeping this list. So that's one. Two is he thinks he can tell. He doesn't get why his base cares about this. That's been his one political superpower. Is he knows what his base cares about. He's always been able to be like a yard or two ahead of them, right? So like he's not leading them, he's like beating them to where they're going. And here he's lost touch with that. And if he thinks he can blame this on Obama and Biden and like with this bunch of bullshit that's not credible to anyone, he's missing what is truly driving this story.
I think it's fascinating how he is treating his supporters and talking about his supporters. And I also think it stems from how he always handles scandal and attacks, right? Which is you got to just alpha the person who's attacking you, right? And so if they attack you got to attack them harder. You got to blame it on Democrats. You got to find your common enemy. But now, I mean, he had this truth this morning where he went back at it again. He called his supporters stupid people. He said, my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work, and I don't want their support anymore.
Wow, that is stupid. Dan, to your senioritis point about a second-term president is really important because the one thing he did that was genius was he treated every Trump rally like a focus group, and he would work out lines like a traveling comedian. And the moment where this really like broke through to me was when he was making some like shitty attack on trans athletes. And he was like, wow, you guys really love the trans stuff. I didn't even know about this till a year ago. I thought you'd love taxes, but you really love this. He like reads the stage directions. And now he is just like hopping from kind of weird event to event. He's talking to the pool. He's not talking to MAGA. It's like Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. And then, the dude from Reuters. It's not a focus group. And he's just losing touch. But, some people who are, I think, a little more attuned to the politics of this are Republican members of Congress. So as we talked about the other day, Ro Khanna had an amendment. He forced some Republicans to take some tough votes. I think there'd be more opportunities to do that. But I did notice that yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson signaled that he wants no part of this mess. Let's listen.
I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, they were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody.
Not his lane. The only child porn he's involved in is monitoring his child's porn. So it's very different.
What was the name of that app?
Mike, Covenant Eyes?
The Covenant Eyes. Everyone Google the Covenant Eyes app and Mike Johnson. Yeah, look, I mean, Speaker Johnson will do literally anything Trump does or says, right? He's the bootlicker's bootlicker. He knows that Trump can end his speakership with a Truth Social post. So it's pretty notable that even Mike Johnson is like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to what he's hearing in caucus every day. His members are fired up about this. There was a story I read somewhere on the internet, I can't remember what outlet, about how the hardest core members of the Freedom Caucus, the MAGA types, have grown more disenchanted with Trump over the course of time. Like, they still love him, right? They'll vote for him, but there's been this succession of being forced to vote for the big beautiful bill,
right,
sending weapons to Ukraine again,
yep,
and then and now this. Not to mention the bombing of Iran. And so there's just like these things build up over time and frustrate. And this happened. This is once again, Trump doesn't feel like a second-term president because he just got elected because we had the interregnum there. But party members start looking past the future. He's not on the ballot again. They start doing their own politics, and it gets harder and harder to keep people in line if they don't have to run on the same ticket as you in a few years.
The votes have been interesting because so Ro Khanna had an amendment that would force DOJ to release all the files.
It's like a crypto bill.
Protecting the victims, but release everything they can. So they tried to get it attach it to the crypto bill in committee, and they got one Republican vote. Ralph Norman voted for it. And Chip Roy declined to vote, so that wasn't enough, but it was close. Then they went to the whole floor yesterday, and they tried to do a separate provision that was just, can we at least debate whether the Trump administration should release the files? Not a single Republican voted for that. Now that would have sort of waylaid the Republican agenda for the day. Sure. So they were saying it's an easier vote, and they're they were starting then to blame Democrats, well, this is just a partisan thing and we want transparency. But then Thomas Massie now has a discharge petition, and a discharge petition forces a vote, but it takes 30 days, so it's a long thing.
Yeah.
But I just saw Annie Carney report at the New York Times. He's already got 6 Republicans on the petition. So if you have 6 Republicans and all the Democrats, which you would, that's enough to force that vote. Now it's going to take a while to get there, but they have the numbers.
Wow, Thomas Massie, sort of iconoclastic Republican congressman from Kentucky, thorn in Trump's side. Interestingly, his own man. Discharge position, not as gross as it sounds. Could be helpful. So last thing, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop there. I have a few other things in mind, but
Wired magazine reported that, quote, metadata from the raw Epstein prison videos shows approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds were removed from one of the two stitched together clips. The cut starts right at the missing minute. Now remember, DOJ, in concert with this memo saying there is no Epstein file, released this video from Epstein's prison cell area from the night he died that they said proved that he killed himself because no one entered or exited his cell. Now, I don't know what any of the words in that Wired magazine tweet means. I haven't been able to read the article because their paywall is so fucking annoying.
Even though we're subscribers?
Even though we pay. But it sure sounds like the kind of thing people who think there's a cover-up will seize on. And I always go back to my experience with Benghazi. A bunch of insane shit got reported about Benghazi. For example, that Obama watched the attack live via a drone feed from the Situation Room. Didn't happen. That there was a quote-unquote stand-down order from the White House telling the U.S. military not to rescue those guys. Insane. Never happened. That we blamed the attack on the Innocence of Muslims video, that YouTube video, that it inflamed the entire Muslim Arab world. But in this case, we were just worried that, an attack on a consulate in Benghazi would undercut our narrative about fighting terrorism. So that's why right? All of that was bullshit. But people believe it to this day. It's an article of faith on the far right to this day. And a lot of this stuff we're talking about, like this Wired magazine thing about the missing minute, like it just feels unfixable.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the fact that you have an administration full of pathological liars becomes an issue, because even if you're like, all right, what do you actually forget about partisanship, you don't like Trump, whatever else, like what do you actually believe about the 3 minutes of missing tape? My natural inclination would be like, I don't know, it's fucking 3 minutes. Why? That doesn't make any sense. It's fine. But with Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and all these assholes running government, like, I don't know. I can't say that for sure. I also started thinking, imagine if Obama or Biden or any Democrat was president right now, and what Donald Trump would be doing.
Oh my God!
With that, he would have the number. What is it? 2 minutes now? 3 minutes? Whatever. He would have that exact number in seconds, and he would just be posting it like 10 times a day. It'd be a line in his stump speech. He'd be going out there like it's like the Hunter laptop thing. He'd be like, "Where's the missing 236?"
No, it'd be Obama's birth certificate.
Yeah,
Where's the long form video?
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Look, I am not a conspiracy theory guy, even though I may want to become one for political purposes. But I don't know about this missing data, but here is what we know, right? Put aside all the conspiracy theory. Here are the things that we know happened. Jeffrey Epstein was connected to a gazillion powerful people. He was famous for having parties with young girls that he was sex trafficking, both in his houses and his islands. He was able to separate some of the richest people in the world from millions and millions of dollars for reasons that no one can fully understand. One of the people he was closely connected with was Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who in 2003 told New York Magazine that he loved Jeffrey Epstein, had been friends with him for a long time, and Jeffrey Epstein loved young girls.
Yep.
He is in many photographs of them over the years. He has visited with him in his house. Jeffrey Epstein they've been on each other's planes. They have been to each other's houses. We know that Pam Bondi said that they were going to release the documents. She then released some documents called Phase 1, implying there was a Phase 2 or a Phase 3 or more phases. She said that the Epstein client list was on her desk. Not long after that, she sends out a note saying no such thing exists and we don't want to talk about it anymore. What can you draw from that? I don't know, but the politician most closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein over the years is Donald Trump. He's also the person who determines whether the list comes out or not, or the documents come out or not.
I think the explanation you take from that is Obama almost got away with it. He wrote such good, we all created such good files that we almost had it, and then Pam Bondi figured out that it was a scam last second.
Beautiful files. Dan, I'm going to read the verbatim quote from Trump to New York Magazine about Epstein. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Verbatim quote from Donald Trump in 2002. All right. I think that's it from us. Ben Rhodes and I covered the allegation that Jeffrey Epstein is a Mossad agent or asset on Pod Save the World this week. We also excerpted that, just that section of Pod Save the World on the Pod Save America YouTube channel. If you look for the title, Trump Scandal is Blowing Up Globally, is how we titled that one, because that's what you do on YouTube. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for subscribing to Pod Save America on YouTube. Crazy right-wingers are kicking our ass on YouTube. They have massive accounts and big feeds. And what that means in practice is when people search for political news, they find Ben Shapiro and The Daily Wire and TPUSA and Alex Jones and not credible information. And we are trying to build a counterweight to that. And when you subscribe to Pod Save America on YouTube, you help us surface good information in that algorithm and reach more people. So thanks for subscribing.